We've all heard the saying, you can't miss what you've never had. It's a quaint adage, but when it comes to fatherlessness, nothing is further from the truth. Fatherlessness is a devastating problem, so much so, in fact, that even popular guru Oprah has acknowledged that it is the social epidemic of our day. And the stats bear witness to this fact. Fatherless children make up 72% of all teenage murderers, 60% of rapists, 70% of kids incarcerated, 11 times more likely to be violent, and 3 of 4 teen suicides. Now, most people, when they think about fatherlessness, they think it is a problem that impacts kids alone. But the truth is, it's just as many adults who suffer from the impact of fatherlessness as do children, and that's because once you are fatherless, you generally stay fatherless throughout your entire adult life. Equally disconcerting is the fact that too few in our society understand that fatherlessness has a particularly devastating impact on men, who make up more than half of the adults who are fatherless. A staggering 30% of all men in Canada today are fatherless. Why is fatherlessness particularly damaging to men? Because men learn to be men and get their sense of self from fathers. And fatherlessness doesn't just leave a man, you see, without a role model, as we generally think about. It leaves him without a mirror to gain a clear picture of himself, a sense of his identity. And without that identity intact, the other elements upon which positive masculinity depends crumbles. In Canada right now, there are literally millions of men who are fatherless and who don't quite know, as a result of fatherlessness, how to fit in, how to relate to other men, or how to relate to women. And that's because they don't know how to relate to themselves. Solve this masculine identity crisis, and we begin to solve all the other social pathologies related to fatherlessness. Okay, so what does this have to do with being conservative? Well, in addition to the fact that conservatives tend to be those who most clearly and prominently speak about the traditional family, a family that has a father and a mother, there's a more basic issue at stake. You see, conservatives also suffer from fatherlessness. In particular, this is an issue that's personal to me. I am a fatherless man. I never knew my father. From the day I was born, there was no father in the house. Sure, there were men around, but no paternal father protector and no role model. And as a result, a ton of identity issues. As a child, I never really understood the implications of being fatherless. But I knew something was wrong. To look at me, you wouldn't have guessed it, but I was very angry, self-hating, and very destructive as a boy. And I turned into a self-hating and very angry young man. Obviously, over the years, I've recovered. And in many senses, I'm still very much on that recovery journey today. But I've learned a couple of valuable truths that help to set my life into perspective. And I want to share these with you. These aren't easy truths, but they are liberating. So if you're a man who has no father, here's something that you should learn and work at. First, as a grown man, remember this, that no other man can be your dad. Forget trying to find a father substitute. I did that for too many years. It created too many problems. Chances are, if you're like me, you'll never find a suitable replacement for your dad. And as the stats bear witness, if you're going to go seeking male affirmation and approval, as you probably have been, you will no doubt continue to experience disappointment and rejection, and your sense of self will only diminish. So let go of finding that father substitute, and that'll free you from the cycle of dependency and disappointment and pain. And second, and this is very important, take time to grieve and acknowledge your loss of not having a dad. And that means, and this may sound strange to you men, make time to experience the pain of your loss and then communicate that loss of not having a dad in words and with tears. Acknowledge the injustice of never having had a dad. And then, most importantly, once you've done that, let it go. The process may take several weeks and even months, maybe even some years, who knows? But be clear about this. If you don't take the time and really work at grieving the loss, you'll never be free of the pain. And of course, you will be unable to move forward and become a healthy, caring, serving, and self-affirming man. Now, in no way am I suggesting that this is a panacea for fatherlessness. It is, however, I believe, an important first step. And unless fatherless men find healing and self-acceptance, and that's so important, that cycle of fatherlessness will only continue. I'm Tristan Emmanuel. I make no apologies.